Good afternoon, everyone. I've got a really great privilege now. I'm going to have some of our great BMC customers come up and join me on stage for a few minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about how they use BMC technology to enable success in their companies. So with that, let me have the panel come up. I have Dan Chase from Fiserv, Chris Haynes, Chris from Raymond James, and David Traynor from Southern Company. Please give them a great welcome. Yeah, second chair. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for joining us today.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
The greatest city in the world, right?
Exactly.
Okay, there we go. Had to correct Dan's statement from earlier.
What was that?
Danny said one of the greatest. I say it's the greatest city.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'll tell you what, we're going to start at the far end down there. David, I know you're a little tight on time today, so I'm going to start with you, and we'll talk a little bit, and then I'm going to let you go off stage, okay?
Okay, works.
Great. So David's with Southern Company. Southern Company is a energy provider, mostly in the southeast United States, based out of Atlanta. They provide electricity to over 9 million customers, as well as natural gas. They have a huge network there. They've got over 200,000 miles of power lines. They got about 80,000 miles of pipeline. A lot of Internet of Things kind of going on in your future, probably.
Yeah.
David is actually the head of all service management for Southern Company. You've got the service desk proper, as well as service strategy, as well as things, use of analytics in that area, things like that. So David, a little bit about what you do there. So everyone knows there's a lot of dynamic changes going on in the utility industry. What are you seeing actually at Southern Company?
Yeah, there's a major change in how we make, move, sell electricity. And we've seen flat to declining demand, which means less revenue, which means cost pressures. And that's being driven by technology, it's being driven by energy efficiency, things like Nest thermostats. They start to give control over how they use our product. So we've gone out and acquired a gas company to try to expand our customer base. But the bigger deal was a company we partner with that works beyond the meter. That's where the products and services are, where we can find new revenue growth, new opportunities to serve our customers and offer more value to them moving forward, that we can take advantage of those technologies as the world evolves.
Okay.
A lot of disruption in industry, and everything that Peter talked about today, we're facing directly.
Okay, great. And by the way, I know you guys are a big user of Remedy. You did a Remedy 9.1 upgrade this last year. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that went? Did you use BMC to do that, or did you use a partner, or how did you do that?
Primarily inside our work group, but we also worked with BMC for some of our issues that would pop up for the expertise. It went seamlessly. We were able to utilize some of the overlays we did for the last upgrade. And when we, sometimes you hold your breath when you have to roll out something new. And when we pulled the trigger the next day, there was nobody died, nothing bad happened, the power didn't go off, and people saw improvements versus the negative where they can't do what they need to do the next day.
That's great. And I know actually you guys are really a big user of BMC's digital workplace solutions. So I'd like you to share with us a little bit about how extensive you use that and really what you use it for. How's that changed the way your employees work?
Yeah, and the utility industry is very tenured. I've got 30 plus years with the company, and most meetings I'm not the oldest person in the room. So it's a lot of people have been there before me, and so we're seeing a change in the demographics. People are starting to retire, so we're seeing new employees come in that are used to technology. They want to use their phone. They don't want to call us. So we've really made investments on self-service, update the knowledge base, request forms that are automated, and being able to offer other ways to get service and support they need to do their jobs, because that's what's most important. We're dealing with internal customers, but those internal customers are dealing with the paying customers, and we want to make them as efficient as possible. So we've got over 300 request forms. We've got thousands of solutions in the knowledge base. We've got automation behind some of those knowledge-based solutions. 15,000 unique users. Everything's consolidated within, I'll call it MIT. All the new name changes make things challenging for us, but 70% of our contacts to our service desk are through MyT. And so that's using the knowledge base, that's using the request forms, and we want to make that grow. We've been able to decrease call volume to our service desk by over 30% because we've offered these self-service opportunities, and we got to build on that because the demand, the desire is there in our customer base.
Were you using anything for self-service at all before? Or?
Yeah, we were on the dark side. We had some ServiceNow products and services we were using. So, we're using that for the knowledge base, and everything was consolidated within MIT. And like I said, power did not even flicker when we made that change. And so life has been good.
That's great. That's great. So why don't you comment just a little bit on what you see as the future? I'd mentioned Internet of Things a little bit, and I know that Southern Company is really getting big into the smart cities initiatives. There's been a lot of announcements come out the last year. What do you see on the horizon for that?
Yeah, and actually one of the smart cities is in my neighborhood. I drive by it to and from work every day. They're just constructing the homes. They got high-speed internet coming in. They've built a solar array to provide power for those homes, backup power, because sun doesn't always shine, so you do have to have the backup power. But it's also enabling a lot of smart devices in the home, the ability for us to test out some of that behind-the-meter products and services and see what resonates with that neighborhood. So we can see a lot of that in the future as we move forward. And from us within the technology organization, very interested and very encouraged by what we heard today with the AI, because that's something we see as a huge opportunity for us on how we provide services internally to our business partners across Southern Company. So we'd like to do more on the chat side, RPA, AI, and being able to drive efficiencies and let's decrease some of the core we do for those day-to-day foundational, so we can free up resources to work on those new products and services we need to drive our business forward.
Okay, hey, thanks so much. And David, I know you've got a plane to catch, so we're going to ask the audience sort of patience here and let David go on exit street.
Thank you.
Stage right. Thanks so much. Chris, I think I'm gonna go to you next. You're there in the center.
All righty.
So Chris is with Raymond James Financial. Raymond James Financial is a American diversified financial services firm. It's a holding company for a lot of subsidiaries, very heavy into investment banking, trading, things like that, asset management, et cetera. Chris actually runs the team that deals with all of workload engineering there. And I think you've been there, what, about 5 years now?
So I've been there 16 years. I've been
been in this role 5 years. Okay, great. And their environment has a lot of complex integration points. They have a lot of increasing demand because of this complexity around workload coordination, data coordination, things like that. So Chris, why don't you tell us just a little bit about how Control-M, which is the workload automation solution you're using, is really critical to business here at Raymond James.
Right, and as you said, the complexities continue to grow, the demand grows. What Control-M really does for us is provides a simplified insight into everything there. So we're able to really see things in real time and view it, break things out, so people understand what's coming. We're using lots of pieces of the tool, the forecasting, so we know ahead of time any impact of the business applications a day before or however far ahead you want to forecast. And then we're very excited some of the future stuff we're stepping. We just got MFT. That's going to be another game changer for us because file transfers drive a great deal of our workload.
Okay, so this morning actually, Bill had a number of customers we were talking about that we had partnered with and worked with on developing new technologies. And Raymond James has actually been one of those great partners in this particular area. They've worked with us both on developing the archiving capabilities around Control-M as well as the managed file transfer capabilities. I'd like you to tell a little bit about your experience in terms of working with BMC on that.
So one of the terms of partnership is exactly what it is. It's really a great relationship. In those two instances you talked about, MFT and the archiving, we had actual folks from BMC from R&D came to our place, worked with my team, you don't get a lot of times where you're working with the folks that are architecting that tool and get the insights, and then they're looking for your feedback on how to improve it before it goes to the street. And that's really, to me, speaks volumes about that being a true partnership with BMC.
Okay, great, great. And by the way, I think you guys push about 4 million jobs a month through right now?
Yep.
Something like that?
So, and that's
pretty good
growing,
size
yeah,
user.
yeah, it's continuing to grow, and that's about 1 million jobs executions growth in like less than 6 months. So we're jumping. So, and I don't see any slowdown, so.
Okay, thanks very much. And then next to me here is Dan Chase. Dan is with Fiserv. He's Director of IT Service Management there, but really has some very, very distinct roles. Fiserv, by the way, is a fintech company, right? It's a
Correct.
financial services technology firm. They have about 12,000 plus organizations they serve,
Yes.
customers they serve. I think about 23,000 employees at Fiserv.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And one of and Fiserv, by the way, is really very well known. They won a lot of awards for things like their mobile payments platform. They're very big in data analytics, but they sell back to basically any place where money has to be moved.
Correct,
Right? They
yes.
sell into those industries. So one of the things Dan's worked on recently is he's responsible for essentially all of IT asset management and configuration management, and a big user of BMC's discovery technology. So I'd like to ask him now to share a little bit about what he's doing there around asset governance, process governance, and then how the technology helps with that.
Sure, certainly. So at Fiserv, much like any other fintech companies, security is very important to us, knowing where our assets are running, what they're doing, who's running on them, because those assets do move multiple billions of dollars of your guys' money, of our customers' money. It's very important to understand what's your uptime and how all the systems that provide that uptime are related. So if we do have, for example, a service interruption or a service outage, we know exactly who to page, what the problem is, and also how to notify our customers as well. Not to over-notify our customers for a potential outage, but to target it based on the particular product that we've modeled, the application model, or the infrastructure that supports it. So that's one case. We're also leveraged discovery quite heavily to make our CMDB the source of truth, the source of record for things to reference when we do process changes. So as a change is approved, one of our policies is to make sure we have a configuration item related or attached to that change. All of those configuration items, they come in via the BMC discovery solution. That way, and we've actually learned a lot by doing that. We've learned not only what we are changing, for example, if a change is to modify code on a specific set of web servers, we also have learned through relationships that we could also inadvertently impact another set of web servers for a different application as well. So we've learned to change smarter. We've learned to be more agile with the changes we are making and just be more aware of what's out there in our environment. And also, in addition to more on the governance side, it helps us to enforce a lot of our policies around making sure if it's running, if it's being moved on a raised floor, is there an approved change request to put it on the raised floor or to take it off? We'll know through BMC discovery pretty quickly if something came on that we weren't expecting, or, for example, if something left that we still expected to run there, the discovery scans will run. It will show that either A, there's a new device on the floor, how did it get there, or another example, this device was scanned yesterday, it's no longer there, where did it go? And especially if it's a physical asset, that's even more concerning as well. We want to make sure that we know, again, whether it's physical or virtual, whatever type of infrastructure it is, we know exactly where it is and what it's doing at all times, and that's how the discovery solution helps us do that.
Yeah, you know, and from talking to you, I understand that you're probably managing kind of a constant update of over like 20,000 endpoints
Correct.
and infrastructure elements. Yes. Those are modeled into a set of services, applications that you track. And
yes.
So that's great. Now, this morning we actually heard about discovery for multi-cloud quite a bit. Are you being challenged or looking to discover things that are sort of outside the four walls of Fiserv?
Yes, we definitely are. We're even challenged within the four walls of Fiserv, so I'll kind of start there first. In some of our larger data centers, we're running software-defined data centers, almost individual compartments within a physical building. So we're challenged to not just discover what you can see and touch in one location, but there might be assets in different compartments, so to speak, in the same building. But you're exactly right, Herb. We're looking out to other providers that run applications that support our users, our internal users that are in the cloud. We're also being challenged to know what assets run there on our behalf. One of my favorite sayings is discovery can no longer start at the firewall and it can no longer stop at the firewall. We've got to be accountable and understand what's out there and what's running, because at the end of the day, when we manage our users' money, we transfer billions of dollars in funds, it's no longer good enough to say, well, that's not in a Fiserv managed data center. We don't have to worry about that. We do have to worry about it because it's our product, it's our brand that's out there. So definitely being challenged in a number of ways, but it's a challenge that, quite honestly, with the Discovery solution and what we've seen today with multi-cloud, I'm very confident we can address that challenge.
That's great. Yeah, we live in a connected world, right?
Without a doubt.
Okay, with that, I'd like to thank Dan and Chris so much, and also David. So please join me in thanking them for sharing their experiences.